Hello everyone. Thank you for waiting. And we start again. Talk live with Chris. So I'm waiting for Chris, and we will continue talking about his new book, Big Banana Book, and athletic performance with raw vegan lifestyle. By the way, hello again, Chris.
And we're back, and I'm wearing my yellow banana shirt too. I didn't even think of that, but I picked yellow for banana today, and I got my yellow golden background too.
That's great. That's great. Your T-shirt is yellow and
Yeah. So should I jump back into right where we were? Because maybe people watch part one, and we'll go right into it.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
So I was mentioning that there's many varieties of bananas, hundreds, and the Cavendish banana, the most common one. I really prefer to eat it in smoothies. Like oh, oh hey, hey,
Hello.
Lena. I really prefer to eat them in smoothies. And most of the time I just blend them without any water. And
Yeah.
amazing, people are amazed by that. They think like, oh, you need tons of water, but like we said, they're like 95 to 97% water, and or not, sorry, 80, 85 to 87. Yeah, 87.
85.
They're 85 to 87. Am I
That
messing that up? That's embarrassing.
much?
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
75.
Or maybe it's
That's
78.
okay.
Wow, that's embarrassing.
That's okay.
I'm
But
looking
by
it
the way,
up. But they're,
yeah.
74, 75 to 78 is what I've seen, which is similar to us. That's what I meant. I got mixed up here. But, with that much water content, if you have a strong blender like a Vitamix, they actually become quite liquidy. Like it's not like a really thick pudding. But strangely enough, and I think it's because when you blend them, it breaks down the fiber a lot. But if you take those same bananas and instead of blending it into a smoothie, you just mash it with your hands, it becomes a really thick pudding because the fiber in it hasn't completely broken down. So it hasn't released all the water from the fiber. But when you blend it, it breaks it completely down and it gets way more liquid. And sometimes making it into a pudding and putting some apple slices or some pears or some persimmons or raisins or dates or so many different things, it can be so fun because you eat it with a spoon and then you take more time and you chew it up, and it's just a completely different culinary experience. But even there, like starting with banana varieties, there's other varieties that are way more tasty. Like I'm sure you get some other varieties besides the regular Cavendish, but one of my personal favorites is called the silk fig banana or the apple banana. Very similar. Vanilla and
It's
chunky fruit. Oh, so good. Bananas and
uh
vanilla or bananas and like, carob or cacao are just like so good.
yeah.
Have you
And
ever have you ever go ahead.
so maybe you put some coffee extract or for
Yeah.
something banana or persimmon pudding, or I'm not sure.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, there's a company called Medicine Flour, which I was actually tipped off to from Dr. Doug Graham,
Mm.
and it's really darn tasty stuff. They're just like powerful natural extracts, really clean and not weird fillers or anything like that. And they're one of my favorite is actually the coffee as well as the vanilla extracts.
Oh,
And yeah, one of my favorite nice
ice
creams, which is kind of funny.
cream.
It's kind of funny. I didn't actually put any of those in the book because I'm thinking at one point I might actually make a book that is designed really around utilizing those for different recipes, not just banana recipes. But in a second edition, I might actually add those in. But one of my favorite banana ice creams is just bananas with some of the coffee drops as well as some dark vanilla, and it's really, really tasty.
Oh,
Super
wow.
tasty. But yeah, that's called
Wow.
Medicine Flower, and I believe their website is genuineessentialoils.com or something. They have more than just flavor drops. They also do like, essence-based essential oils and stuff like that, and also ones for like wounds or disinfecting and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, I really agree with that. Everything you mentioned. And I usually make my smoothie maybe banana and green. I
Hmm.
always put my greens, but I I did I made a smoothie, banana smoothie yesterday, and like you, very small amount of water,
Yeah,
but basically all banana. That was so good. I
yeah.
usually water down,
Hmm.
but oh my flavor and it's like, oh, is there something so delicious, the most delicious food in the world like this?
Hmm.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it makes the flavor so much more powerful. And then also, we were talking before a little bit about how it makes it easier to get calories.
Mm.
And for a lot of people, they just don't have the stomach capacity or the digestive strength, the microbiome balance to be able to eat huge meals. But without adding water to it, it makes it more calories per amount of volume. And you may notice, even though it's like 75% water, if you are thirsty and you eat bananas, you kind of get a little bit more thirsty because the body requires water to be able to process simple carbohydrates and sugars and turn it into glycogen. And our muscles hold water for each gram of glycogen. It's like 7 grams for every 7 grams of water for every gram of sugar. And having it really dense like this, instead of having the water in the smoothie to feel more kind of like watery and more hydrating, what I like to do is, I'm having breakfast right now, which is just a glass of
Oh,
water or a couple
oh,
glasses of
good.
water. And I like to hydrate with my water first because that's super fast and easy digesting, of course, basically no digestion. Um, but then when I have my banana smoothie, I don't add water and I can get way more calories in a smaller volume just so that it's easier on my system and I can get more in. So it just makes it a lot easier. And like you said, it's just a more potent tasting drink. Like I find it's more delicious. Whenever I add water to it, it's still nice, but it's watered down. I mean, you water something down, it becomes a little bit less potent.
Yeah. So there is so many variety of recipes and way to eat banana dishes, and that's so
Mhm.
necessity to live a raw vegan lifestyle. I think
Yeah.
even if you don't like bananas so much like me, but
Mhm.
I really love banana. Maybe it's
Yeah.
strange, but I don't like so much, but I really love somehow for so many
Yeah.
reasons. So many, and I really appreciate it. I really appreciate and
Mhm.
respect and gratitude for bananas. And so, if you someone new to raw vegan lifestyle, banana is a
It's
very
it's a strong one, it's like it's available year round. It's available basically in every country. It's really inexpensive per calorie, like we mentioned. It's actually quite good for the environment. People get concerned and think, "Oh my gosh, it must be so bad for the environment to be eating bananas when you're in Japan or when you're in Canada or in Sweden." And you know, when you actually look at it, the transportation is a very, very small aspect of the carbon footprint. And part of this is because one, it's just a one item crop. So I think it's important to look at that. Like, you know, it's they grow the bananas, they put them in boxes, and then they put them on usually boats. And boats, you know, they're giant shipping containers, and that requires very, very little gas per pound comparative to other methods of transportation. And there's, you know, in the book, actually, there's a really, really credible study and chart that goes into the carbon footprint and where each aspect of the carbon footprint comes from. And again, the transportation is really, really small. And when you compare bananas per gram or per calorie, because the chart actually goes per gram, but I do the math and share per calorie. It's really a low carbon footprint food compared to almost anything else. Fruits and vegetables are the lowest carbon footprint foods compared to everything else. So it's a great choice for the environment as well, you know. And uh, there's one aspect of that I really wanted to mention there, you know. Oh, it's slipping my mind. Not enough sleep last night. I need more of my bananas, my B vitamins. I'm it's crazy, Sachi.
I really understand that.
I
Yeah, yeah.
actually,
I'm so sorry. Me too. I'm so slow.
it's all good.
But
It's definitely all
I
good.
really appreciate that you mentioned that because we don't have some guilty about that.
No.
Even it's very or imported banana.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Maybe
there's no
yeah.
reason to feel bad about that, you know, and it's pretty wild, you know, like a lot of people are into locavorism and eating close to home, and that's the point I wanted to make actually. And I mean, that's great. You know, that's good. You know, I don't do so from the standpoint that we need to be eating close to home for some, you know, like specific health reason. You know, I think personally that that's really a misnomer. It doesn't make sense. You know, I might actually make a full video exposing that. But it is wild when you actually look at the footprint of certain foods. As I mentioned, and this is what I wanted to get back to, bananas and fruit, they're a one item crop, you know, so it's like, again, they grow the bananas, they put them in boxes and they ship them. And on any other diet, you know, anything you eat that comes from a box or a bag or a can, it's got multiple ingredients. And a lot of times it has like a long list. And you got to think for every single ingredient, that's a crop or, you know, like something going on in a lab for some processed stuff, you know, some like synthesized kind of flavors and stuff like that. But for every ingredient, that's a crop, and then that's shipping that crop to another place, and then that's processing that. And so like that adds up a ton. And then if you look at animal products, of course, which I don't consider food, I consider them animals. But if you look at that, you know, the water requirements and, you know, the amount of food requirements, which, you know, that means they're growing a separate food in huge quantities and spraying those because they're usually for animal feed, you know, conventional, heavily sprayed, and you know, there's lots of pesticides and all that, and then there's also you know, all of the machinery to do all that, so all the gas to collect and to harvest all that food is often GMO that's fed to the animals, and then all the antibiotic use. And anyways, just in the bigger picture, it's really one of the best choices we can make to be eating bananas as a staple or any fruit or vegetable. And it's wild. I've actually looked at some studies showing that eating local asparagus here in Sweden was worse for the environment than getting asparagus from Spain. And part of that was just because the growing conditions here weren't as favorable, and it requires so much more to actually create it compared to it growing much more easily, and then the shipping being a very small component of the greenhouse gas. So for the yields and the expense and all that other stuff, it wasn't really a good option. But yeah, it all that to say, I think it's really a misnomer. There's no reason to fear eating fruits from other places.
Mhm.
And anyways, shipping is only going to get better. I see in the future two things happening. Either one, shipping becomes more eco-friendly and
Mhm.
basically doesn't have a carbon footprint because it's either, solar, wind, or, electric powered based off of green energy, or we start doing biodomes more consistently where any city could have a green biodome that has microclimates and you could be growing bananas here because I know people who grow bananas in the winter in Canada in
Wow.
greenhouses. I've eaten papayas grown in my hometown in Saskatchewan in a greenhouse, and you best believe that there's going to be more and more really good quality biodomes and greenhouses that are powered by, whether it's geothermal or a combination of geothermal, wind, and solar. So I think the future is bright for even more eco-friendly tropical, subtropical, and if wanted, temperate fruits in any climate around the world.
Mm.
Oh, have an amazing workout, Watermelon Lime.
Thank you, thank you. And
Hey, Rosh Efien.
oh yeah, and
Rosh Efien's also part of the bundle with an amazing
yeah,
e-course. Yeah,
Korean barbecue, right?
yeah.
I I I couldn't check the course yet, but I found a picture and she's so amazing
She
every
is
time.
so
Every
amazing.
time.
Absolutely. Super, always inspires me. We're going to be doing a really cool live about, creating a living as a raw vegan or vegan, in all the different ways that we both do that and going deep into that subject. But yeah, no, the good thing is, once you grab the bundle, which you can get in Sachi's link, or mine if you like, but you can grab the bundle and, you just said you didn't have time to look at it yet, but we have the rest of our lives now, and with
Yeah.
33 resources in the bundle, you could be making, listen, I thought about it. You could just make one recipe every week, and I'm pretty darn sure you could do that for 8 years before you go through all the recipes. Because there's well over 400 recipes, and there's, what is it, 56? Is it 56 weeks in a year? I think so. I think it's gonna be 8 years of making recipes if you just do one recipe per week.
Yeah. So many. Oh, eating
Oh,
Christian food by watching it.
someone's
Oh,
asking you if you're married.
and could you talk about your like athletic
Yeah.
performance with so
Absolutely,
wow.
absolutely. Yeah.
Oh,
52 weeks in a year. There we go. Yeah, I'm poor with that math. So yeah, it definitely would be like 8 years. That's pretty wild. Um,
oh,
Athletic performance, it's actually kind of funny because, in the part one, I kind of mentioned about how if I'm eating juicy fruit, I need about 3 meals a day. And if I'm eating at least one meal of sweet fruit like bananas, then 2 meals a day is very easy. And in my first 8 months of going raw, I went raw in 2004. But in my first 8 months of going raw, I wasn't drawn to bananas. I was drawn to juicy fruit, which I find most people that are newer to the raw food diet actually are more drawn to the juicier fruit because their body is craving that extra hydration that it
oh,
hasn't had, and being well hydrated also is really beneficial for cellular detoxification. So when people are new to it and their body is still kind of holding on to a lot of stuff that they couldn't deal with from other, whether it's their lifestyle or, their history or the, foods or additives, anything like that, stress, that extra hydration allows the body to just function more optimally and you feel more light and vibrant and all that stuff. So typically people are drawn to that, and as the body hydrates more and more, and also the digestion improves, I find people are more drawn to sweet fruit. But rewinding that a little bit, my first 8 months I was really just drawn to more juicy fruit, and I was really active because I felt so dang good, but I got to a really low body weight because
wow.
I wasn't getting enough calories. And I felt more satisfied than I ever had because I was eating way more volume than I'd ever eaten in my life. You know, I was eating so much. I was eating like 12 to 15 plus pounds of produce every
Oh,
day.
wow.
And I was probably getting more nutrition than I ever had in my life because fruits and vegetables
Mhm.
are the most nutritious foods per calorie of any food on the planet. You know, so I was getting so much nutrition and I was getting so much volume, so I was just feeling really good, but I wasn't getting enough calories, and that's really the number one reason people fall off the raw food diet, is at least a fruit-based raw food diet.
Me too.
And so you too, right? It's really common, you know, it's like
Easy.
it it takes some time to really understand how much volume we require and you know, again, kind of like with watermelon, you require like 3+ times as much volume as bananas, but I didn't know that. So I was eating all this high water content food and as many berries as I could and all this kind of stuff. And I got down to, if I'm correct, I think I got down to 145 or 150 pounds, which for me is quite small. Like, you know, right now I'm at like 185, you know, so I got really thin and my joints even started to hurt. Like my knees started to hurt because I probably didn't have enough cushioning between my joints. You know, I was
Oh,
just really, really light. And it it took understanding that concept of caloric density and understanding that, hey, maybe, you know, eating more high calorie foods once in a while will help, that it made it so much easier. All of a sudden, I was able to get my calories in with less meals. Instead of 4 and 5 meals a day, I was able to go down to four, or even at that time, about three. And I felt even more satiated, and it helped with my athletic performance because, you know, if you're running on fumes, you're not going to feel your best. And while I did in those first 8 months feel amazing and I had so much energy, I was running around. By the end of it, like I said, I started to feel like my joints were hurting and I was getting kind of stretched thin. And it took finding really the banana and other dense fruits. I was living in Vancouver, so I was able to get jackfruit and I was able to get durian and, you know, some other, and I started eating more dates and stuff like that and learning about date smoothies. But I tell you, Sachi, for the last 20 years, I don't know that there's another food that I've eaten as much calories of. I've probably eaten more volume of some, but I don't think there's any that I've eaten as many calories of or more consistently than bananas. Like I pretty predictably eat about 40, yeah, usually around 40 pounds or like 18, 19 kilos per week. And that's usually just like one meal a day, you know. Most cases of bananas have like about 100 average bananas in them, and I usually eat 15 to 18 per meal at lunch, you know. And if I'm not, like right now, bananas, it's kind of funny. I feel a little bit self-conscious because, you know, I'm launching the banana book and I don't have any bananas in my house except for some frozen bananas. And it's just
why?
because when I went to the wholesale produce market, there's a really great wholesale here in Malmo, Sweden, called Zia Frukt AB. But when I went there, they just had really kind of green bananas and they're fairly expensive, which it's kind of funny compared to other fruit per calorie. It still wasn't expensive, but it was expensive for what I normally pay for bananas.
Yeah, yeah.
But then they also had dates that were super inexpensive. I got 6 kilos of dates for $14, and they're really tasty dates. And so I actually ended up getting 12 kilos of dates, which for me, you know, I usually eat about a half a kilo of dates for a meal. I blend that up with a liter and a half of water, and that's like 1,400 calories. And so getting, you know, 12 kilos of dates, that's 24 lunches, you know, and for 28 bucks, you know, so that's like $1.20 per meal, you know, so it keeps my food
That's
budget really
great.
low. Yeah,
And
so
it's fresh, right? Fresh
well,
dates, not
they're
dried
not
one.
like they're still dried, but they're kind of the plump ones that are soft and blend really easy. So I mean, I just put them in the fridge because they'll last for a long time. but I'll probably end up going through those in about 2 months. You know, I won't eat them every day, and I'm gonna get some bananas during the bundle. Not only just, you know, to show off the bananas and stuff like that, but just because I'm already missing bananas a little bit, and my digestion's even better with bananas compared to dates.
Oh, I think so too.
Yeah,
Oh,
I get a little bit more farts with date smoothies. I'll admit it. You know, and they don't smell, but I make noise and I get embarrassed.
do you usually eat before exercise or after exercise?
That's a great question. Yeah, back to the athleticism. I absolutely feel my best exercising on an empty stomach. You know, I don't like to eat anything before exercise unless I really know that I'm going to be too busy for too long to eat. If to eat like really soon after. So like if I'm let's say I'm leaving the house and I know that I'm going to be away for like 4 or 5 hours and I'm going to be busy during that whole time
Mhm.
and I don't want to carry some food with me, then I might eat something simple, you know, before. It might just be like an 8 or 10 banana smoothie, which again for me is a small snack. You know, it's not that big. But if I am just going to the gym, for example, which, you know, truthfully, most of the time at the gym, you know, lately I've been doing yoga. After this, I'm going to do a yoga class and a lower body exercise day. So I'll probably be in the gym for about an hour and a half, maybe an hour and 45. But unless I'm working out really hard for more than 2 hours, I definitely won't eat anything before. And
Mm.
even if I am, you know, going to be working out really hard for say 2, 3, or 4 hours, like just out and about and skateboarding and then doing something else and doing something else, I'll just bring a juicy sports drink, which it could be a banana milk, which would just be bananas with water, which is even easier to digest and you know, lighter on the system anyway. Or I might just, you know, make a small date smoothie or just bring a couple pieces of fruit, some grapes or some oranges with me. Because if you're working out really intensely for more than 2 hours, you can come to a place where runners, they call it hitting the wall, where you're depleting your muscle glycogen stores, which is basically just your sugar stores in your muscles. And at that point, that's when you just feel totally tired and runners, they'll like collapse, you know? But once you start getting low in muscle glycogen, you know, it's definitely advantageous to get some in from the outside. We'll recover way faster and we'll get immediate energy so we can continue on with our exercise. But but yeah, the shorter version, I really definitely feel my best working out on an empty stomach. And you know, that goes into a much bigger kind of topic, which kind of going back to when people are new to this lifestyle and you know they still have a lot of stored toxemia in their cells and in their fat tissue, and their detoxification is much more intense. What happens is people find that when they're hungry and they don't have meals, that they might feel a little lightheaded, or they might feel like as their body is adjusting, they might feel stronger cravings or uncomfortable sensations and have a harder time working out on an empty stomach. But I can tell you, for muscle contraction and to be able to actually like push as much as you can, I swear by empty stomach while working out. And I find over time, most people agree with that as well. It sometimes takes a little bit of time to get adapted to that and to make sure you're hydrated as well before working out. How about yourself? Do you prefer to do activity with food on your in your belly or without?
No, I'm comfortable with absolutely without
Yeah.
any food, but I feel I'm not good at. I feel hungry before without any food.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
maybe yeah, post workout meal is best. But
Yeah.
sometimes I just feel hungry during exercise, so maybe sometimes I put food before I go to exercise.
Mhm.
But mm, but post workout meal is more efficient to absorb
Yeah.
nutrient, right? It's better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's really amazing because You know, I mean, activity requires a lot of blood flow, and digestion requires a fair amount of blood flow. It's often misquoted, but we can utilize up to 60% of our blood flow if we eat a heavy, heavy meal. And you know, this is why people they need to fall asleep after a Thanksgiving feast because it's so complicated digestively. It's requiring so much blood flow to digest that there's not enough blood to the brain, and you want to fall asleep. That and the tryptophan in turkeys. But a simple fruit meal, you know, it can be low in the low to mid 20s or 30% of your blood flow comparatively. So it's a lot less. But you know, and of course too, if it's really watery, if it's like, you know, watermelon or like I said, banana milk, it'll require a little bit less too, because that can just more readily absorb into your through your stomach wall into your bloodstream and then be utilized by all your cells. But it still requires some. So if you're eating food before you're working out, you have less blood flow for your muscles, you know, and as long as you have been eating enough prior to that and you're hydrated, well, you should have glycogen and you know, like sugar stored in your muscles so you can do anything you need to do. But a really cool thing happens when you work out intensely for over an hour, say an hour, hour and a half, up to 2 hours. The body in its intelligence, it starts secreting an enzyme called glucanase. I'm pretty darn sure that's the correct pronunciation. But what this enzyme does is it enables the body to uptake sugar at double the rate.
Oh,
So when you work out really tons and then afterwards, you know, it's really important again to hydrate. I was talking before about sugar requiring 7 grams of water for the body to actually utilize. So you want to make sure that after you work out, you hydrate up because that makes the sugar uptake even more effective. So you know, I like to drink water while I'm working out, after I work out to make sure I'm hydrated. But then within about the body's going to secrete that glucanase for about 45 minutes to an hour and a half is what I've heard, depending upon how intensive the activity was and how it stimulates. So during that window, pretty much directly after exercise, your ability to uptake the sugars and thus the nutrients connected with the sugars in the fruit is double the speed. And what that can do is allow you to recover from your athletic performance almost double the speed. So it's like that's why, you know, people like Grant Campbell and you know, like other like really intense endurance athletes, they can do like a 24-hour race and then the next day still go do a marathon, and like they recover so fast because, you know, making sure to be eating while they're going and then eating at the end. And the same with me. That's why I got into raw foods. Actually, I got into raw food so that I could heal faster and skateboard more and play. You know, I didn't get into raw food to be a raw foodist and to just, you know, like sit with my food all day. I did it so I can run around and have fun and experience life and do the things that I absolutely love more often. And I tell you, you know, there's no food like fruit. Bananas are a great one, but like fruit to recover from athletic performance. And you know, I remember Dr. Graham, he actually mentioned, I wish I remember the fellow's name, but there was a leader of the US men's Olympic team who was quoted saying, "Fruit is like a miracle food for athletes." And it's true. It's the perfect food. You know, people think that you know, that it has no protein, but actually fruit has almost the perfect amount of protein for us. You know, like most fruits range between 4 to 8% of their calories from amino acids, and they represent all of the essential amino acids. So, you know, our needs are actually lower than that. So, you know, when we're eating our fill of fruits, we can get enough protein. But if we want, we can get more by adding in some greens, which are even higher in protein per calorie. But it's really amazing, right? How perfect fruit is. Like, you know, it's just
yeah.
it's really nature's perfect food, and there are very few nutrients that we require more of than is typically in fruit. But that's why greens are so amazing and important as well, because they bump up those minerals. You know, they often bump up some of the fat content, the EFAs. And they, of course, bump up the amino acids profile as well. So they're just like fruits and veggies are a match made in heaven.
I really agree with that. Yeah, at least I get so many greens.
Hmm.
Banana, even I have mostly, I eat mostly
Yeah.
bananas as my diet. As well as I get greens.
Yeah.
I feel very good, like a very nutrient-rich body.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's so satiating. You just feel so darn good. And that's something that I've found in coaching that when people start to add in more greens, they just feel even more satiated, even more grounded, and just better in general, and it's one of those things that I think often people they make the mistake that because fruit is really sweet and easy to eat, that we should just eat fruit. And sometimes even they might say that they don't enjoy greens, but like anything, some foods they take a little bit of time for our body to recognize, appreciate, and even adapt digestively to. So, green smoothies and, smooth like salads or anything like that, just starting with a little bit, introducing a bit of greens to your body, all of a sudden your body's like, wow, this is amazing. I feel even better. I'm getting some of the important nutrients I need for my detoxification process and all these different things. And all of a sudden, before you know it, you start enjoying and craving more greens and wanting more green smoothies. It's just perfect.
It's so easy to put mix and eat greens and with smoothie,
Yeah.
banana and just a handful. Start with a handful of greens, and the
Mhm.
taste is not so different.
No.
It's all sweet. So
Absolutely. In my book too, I mean, of course, I have lots of sweet banana meals, and I have green smoothies, which I kind of I won't say I cheated, but I made a whole bunch of my favorite regular banana smoothies, and then I gave a list of greens you can add to them because I felt kind of silly saying, "This is my banana mango smoothie," and then this is my banana mango spinach smoothie. Like I've done that in the past, but instead I just said like, any of the smoothies are great with greens, and add as much as you like from your favorite greens.
uh,
But I also have savory banana meals, and I have banana curry in there, which is
I haven't tried it.
so
But
good. It's so good and it's so satiating and it's like I was saying, just economically, it's a more inexpensive dinner meal compared to using, say, mango or tomato or something like that for the curry ingredient. But it digests great and it's amazing as well.
that I understand that because I I use banana for dressing too
Yeah.
because I don't have a date
Yep.
so I cannot access dates on the supermarket. So very ripe one is
Yeah.
compatible for dried fruits. I
Yep.
found it very ripe one. So maybe banana and onion and garlic or sometimes
Mhm.
instead of using a date, I
Yep.
used to do that. So
Have you ever heard of The Last Airbender?
airbender?
The Last Airbender, it's a TV show. Or
I
no?
don't know. I
No?
don't know.
It's a pretty fun show, and in it it's basically a individual who is like the savior of the world and can basically perform magic with all of the elements, like can like bend air and earth and water and all that stuff. Anyways, the only reason I'm mentioning it is because there's an episode where him and his like Zen master talk about one of the secrets for enlightenment, and the secret is banana onion smoothies. So when you mentioned bananas with onion and some garlic, yeah, I mean it's an interesting flavor and nutrient combo, and a lot of people think, oh, but I totally agree. And I mean, in my banana curries, I like to put some onion or some garlic or some ginger in there, and some curry powder, a bunch of different stuff in there, and I find it's best over different ingredients, but it's so tasty.
Thank you for sharing. and
Such a
I
pleasure.
wanna talk endlessly, but maybe you have time because it's almost
Yeah,
one hour left. Do, maybe you have to go.
I do have another live in a little bit. Or actually, no, I guess my live's not for a little while, but I do have a yoga class that I intend to do.
Okay.
So, yeah, I agree. I can't believe how fast time went by,
Yeah.
Sachi. I feel like we could just
Thank you.
chat for 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
Um, but I really appreciate you inviting me on your channel, and I really
Thank you
appreciate you being a
so
part of the
much.
bundle and creating your beautiful book. Um,
Thank
I think that it's going to help a lot of people. Would you like to share a little bit about your book really briefly before we go?
Oh yeah, I wrote about self-acceptance, and I'm not like everyone is not perfect, but I'm especially not
I think you're
imperfect
perfect.
as raw vegan. Raw vegan,
Yeah.
I think, and I I have experienced so many struggles, so I like to I like to help people like me
Yeah.
who is covertly suffering from like things. Or I think things didn't work for me, or
Hmm.
so many challenges and in life, and um, so
It's really,
sorry,
really beautiful. Like share, I think, it shows so much strength to share your struggles and your vulnerabilities and to be human in front of other people because so many people they try and put on a face and just pretend everything's perfect, and I think it is just beautiful in its strength to show that, show from a vulnerable side and to share the things that we have done that have helped us so much. And I know that's really what your book goes into is like strategies and ways that you've grown through your struggles so that other people can have an easier time, right?
yeah, I say like everything's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I like to give
It's
message.
okay to not be okay, and
Yeah,
and
that's
that's the
right. That's
surest
right.
way to get back to being okay.
Yeah, that's right. So not to be perfect like a follow vegan lifestyle or any other personal development thing. No, no
Yeah.
need to be perfect.
Yeah. If I could share another perspective, because it's so common that phrase, no need to be perfect. And I understand that from the view of perfection being like an end point, saying like perfect
Mm,
is when I am this, you know? But something that I like to bring into the conversation, and I'm not saying it's right, I just it's a different way of looking at it. And for me, it feels really good is that to me, perfection is a process. Perfection includes the tripping and the falling over and the binging because it's through all of those points that we actually learn and we grow and we move towards something. And, like, because I look at a tree and from the seed to its highest heights, I think it's all beautiful and it's all perfect. And it was part of that tree's growth and process and lifespan and a little baby that is spilling the milk on the ground, it's still perfect too. It's just learning how to hold it. So like I really like to put that in there that perfection is part of the process, and it makes it so much easier on ourselves when we recognize that even those falls and those moments that we question ourselves or we judge ourselves, that they're part of our unfolding. They're part of our being that flower that is starting to open up to the sun. And that if we embrace that, I think everything becomes even more easy and relaxed and open-hearted.
that's right. Maybe the biggest thing I learned over the years from you is how relaxing attitude towards like this vegan lifestyle
Mhm.
or everything. Just relaxing for.
I'm
Thank
so
you,
happy to hear that. When
thank
when we
you.
relax, everything opens up, right?
Yes. Oh, more than thank you so much for sharing everything.
Thank you so much, Sachi. Really appreciate you, and really, really appreciate you being a part of the bundle. Of course, again, I know it was a push for both of us to get it
Yeah,
done, but here we are,
yeah.
congratulating and enjoying
Congratulations.
and spreading this out. And I know your book, and I hope my book too, will help a lot of people. So thank you again so, so much.
Thank you, and so looking forward to doing another talk too.
Absolutely, absolutely. Which where are we here? We'll talk behind the scenes on that one and get that set up. Oh no, sorry, no, it's on the last day, May 12th,
May
the
12th.
journey of love and
Yes, May
self-acceptance. So
12th and the same
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 time.
time. Same
So
time.
join us on May 12th, 1 a.m. PST, 10 a.m. for me, and 5 p.m. for you on the 12th. Bringing in the end of the bundle too. That'll be the end of the bundle. So that's a perfect day to really talk about
Yeah.
love and
Yeah.
self-acceptance, but
Lovely.
hopefully not self-acceptance that people forgot to get the bundle. Hopefully it'll be they'll get the bundle and we'll talk about self-acceptance and love in different ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Have a beautiful day,
Okay.
Sachi.
Thank you. Thank you so much for taking time with us.
Of
Thank
course.
you very much.
Thanks
And
everyone
have a
who joined
nice
us.
day. And enjoy your yoga.
Thank you so much. I'm excited for it.
Okay. Take
Bye-bye.
care. Bye bye.
Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
See you everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for everyone. Bye bye. Have a great